everyone, Chris here in the craft cabin. So for our yarn week I am going to show you about twiddle muffs. So for those of you who don't know, a twiddle muff is used a lot with Alzheimer's and dementia patients, but also for people with autism. They are a muff, a tube that they can put their hands into, and there's little things to fiddle with and play with and just keep them kind of stimulated. So to start off, there is a link to a knitting and a crochet pattern below. I'm going to show you on a fabric one today using fleece and just give you some inspiration, what lovely little nice things you can put in and interesting things that a lot of which you probably have lying around the house. So let's get started. So to make your twiddle muff, you will want a piece of fabric, knitted or crocheted item, measuring about 12 inches by 24, and then we're going to fold them up. So I'm using fleece today just to show you, and I'm doubling it up so it's nice and cozy and warm, and your hands can go in here. So what you're going to start off with, you're going to sew your 3 sides, leave a little bit of space here, and you're going to come up and sew down here. And the reason I say leave a little bit of space on the sides is that we're actually going to cut these and fray it. Well, not fray, make a little edging, because this adds a nice texture, and because fleece is non-fraying, which is ideal, we can do that with fabric. You could use a pinking shears or along those lines, just to add a little bit, so that means that there's a nice cuff at that edge. So for adding on to your twiddle muff, you are going to separate into 2 halves. So this is the top half and this is the bottom half. I'm going to leave a space in the middle here. So if you imagine when it's folded over, that space doesn't need anything, and it's going to kind of interrupt the fold as well. So we leave that free. So just some ideas. This is going to be the inside, just some ideas that we can use. So add as much texture as you can. So you can use felt, you can use beads like this are a great one on a string for moving back and forward, and even because this is a glittery bit of ribbon, it actually has a kind of a grating feel to it, because imagine you're not going to see what this is, that you can just play with it there, and it has a nice feel to it. And then buttons are fantastic, so the more textured the better. So you can see these are curved, and there's a rough part and a smooth part to them, but it doesn't matter, whatever you have lying around. And then even if you attach a little bit of elastic, so if you sew along in spaces, that you can move it over a button. So you want to make sure everything is sewn on really, really, really firmly, and that there's no tails or anything that can get pulled and remove stuff. So just be careful on that end. You want to double up on thread or double up in yarn if you're doing a crochet or knitted one, and make sure that everything's attached or glued on very firmly as well. So for the knitted and crochet, if you have ends, sides, sew them in very securely, or make sure that they're non-fraying, whatever way you want to go. So adding on here again we can add little velvet ribbons, things like that. So another nice one to do is putting a little bit of baking paper in between something, and then when you crunch it, it gives a lovely crinkly noise. Or put a sponge inside something, and it gives a lovely squeeze and comes back to shape every time, do you see? So that is going to be our inside, and add whatever you feel kind of is going to be safe, but also just give a nice feel to it. And then for our outside, you can add a little bit more. So I have things like this is a nice wooden ring. It's really smooth and it has ribbons attached to it. So you can plait the ribbons like so, or just play with them, fiddle with them. And again, make sure you cut the ends so they don't fray everywhere, and sew this on really securely, and even glue your ribbons on as well. And then zips are fantastic also. So you sew them on just entirely, and it can be slipped back and forth. So I wouldn't go a very sharp zip, just keep a nice neat one that's nice and flat. And then another nice little thing you can do is actually add a handkerchief pocket. So if you sew around the 3 sides here or crochet, and you can put a little handkerchief inside. So that is that. So have a look around the house and see what you have available, and lots of things can be, and of course don't forget buttons, lots of things can be added in on this. So if you're doing a knitted or crocheted one, this is a brilliant way to use up your scrap yarn. So just think texture and weight and everything. So you can have very, you know, fluffy ones like this and super soft like that. So if you do them in stripes, gives a lovely effect. And then don't forget to add a little bit of cozy and comfort. This will be beautiful inside your Twiddle muff. So don't forget that there is patterns in the link below, and we'll find them on our website as well for the knitted and crocheted. And have fun. Don't forget to send in your photos.